let's pull this up. We're gonna look at this program. We're gonna see if this program is yay or nay. All right, this is interesting. So the U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago announces individual self-disclosure pilot program. This is in September 16th of 2004. All right. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago today announced the formation of a pilot program that encourages early and voluntary self-disclosure of criminal conduct by individual participant in certain nonviolent offenses. Okay, so self-disclosure, mandatory reporting requirements. Most, well, I can't say most programs, but most federal programs have some type of self-reporting requirement. If you self-report and it was a mistake, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I've had cases where I was like, "Oh man, this looks like fraud," and I've been looking into it, and then the person will be like, "Oh snap, I accidentally overbilled these services as a doctor because I used the wrong code to bill for. I should have used code A and I actually used code B. I'm going to self report because I don't want to go to prison." And you self report, we look through the records and be like, okay, since you told no harm, no foul, we're going to chop it up as a mistake. You got an extra $300,000 that you shouldn't. Give us our money back. We'll let bygones be bygones. So that's typically how self reporting works. All right, let's go ahead and finish reading this. It says, all right, this program was initiated for 6 months. So September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Okay. Initiated for 6 months. So we talk around March now. It was geared towards individuals who have participated in and have knowledge of criminal wrongdoing by virtue of their employment. By virtue of their employment. The purpose of this program is to encourage and incentivize individuals to self report wrongdoing that was previously unknown to law enforcement. It says previously unknown. So that might be a do not pass go, do not collect $200. $200. I don't know if it was previously unknown to law enforcement at this time, but arguably. But all right, self-report wrongdoing that was previously unknown to law enforcement without fear of criminal prosecution for doing so. The benefit for those who make timely and meaningful disclosures is a non-prosecution agreement in exchange for their ongoing assistance. Depending on the success of the pilot program, the office will determine whether to extend it on a more permanent basis. All right. We are implementing this pilot program to provide a roadmap for how to report individual and organizational misconduct, said Morris Pascal, acting United States Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois. We hope the program will enhance our effectiveness by incentivizing individuals, and their counsel to provide us with actionable and timely information. All right. From today through March 15th, 2025, the office will accept submissions on a pre printed intake form that should be emailed to the following email address. Each submission will be reviewed by a working group of AUSAs. Anonymously reporting is not allowed. I don't know. Would you advise somebody to report something? You can't do it anonymously, and it's no guarantee that they may not lock your ass up and throw you in the pokey. I don't know. I don't know. But anonymous reporting is not allowed, and individuals who have already been informed not do not pass go, do not collect $200. Individual who's already been informed they're subject or a target of a federal criminal investigation will not be eligible. This was floating around, and people thought it was an out. It's a do not pass go, do not collect $200 if you are a subject of an ongoing investigation. The reported individual must agree to forfeit or disgorge any proceeds from their own criminal wrongdoing and pay full restitution to the victim. Again, this program is not available to individuals whose misconduct involve violence, threat of violence, terrorism, or any sex offense involving force, fraud, coercion of a minor. Additionally, no go again, elected federal or foreign officials, federal law enforcement officials, or this for just federal officials, all individuals who are this might also bar individuals who are highest who are the highest ranking person in their organization are not eligible to participate in the program. Yes, as the mayor of the village of Dalton, you are the highest ranking person in an organization. So there were a few videos out there where people talked about this program. This program is a no go just because the biggest reason we can see here, there's already an ongoing investigation. Prior to that May 2024 subpoena, let me see. Nope, she wouldn't have had time anyway. So this program is going to be a no-go. And I'm going to be honest, I don't even know if this program is going to be a thing. I don't even know if it's still in existence. Even though it's on the website, we all know that Doge could have fired the person whose job it is to update the website, unfortunately. So I don't even know if this is up to date. The thing that gives me cause to pause on whether this is up to date or not is because this was created prior to President Trump coming in office. Once you have a new president in office, once you have a new U.S. Attorney Pam Bondi, once you have a new director of the FBI, this investigation is probably being done most time when you have fraud and public corruption. Is an investigation is done by the FBI jointly with the U.S. Attorney's Office. If it's just the feds, that's probably the parties investigating it. FBI is taking the lead because they have a new U.S. Attorney, a new FBI director. Generally, oh shit, that would fly under an old administration is probably gone away. Is probably gone away. Just as a matter of course, knowing how current President Trump is and the persons he nominated and got confirmed to serve in these positions, I am willing to bet that any program that was created under the old regime is probably tossed the hell out. Now, we talked about this before. Tiffany Henyard is probably she had a period where she was glazing Donald Trump a lot after his election, going real hard on MAGA. And the expectation and the suspicion was she was hoping that she could get the Eric Adams treatment, where either the FBI would decline to continue to investigate, or the AUSA for the Northern District of Illinois would say, you know what, we don't want to pursue this for some reason or other. Unfortunately for Tiffany Henyard, she doesn't have that much clout. She doesn't have that much authority. I want to take a look real quick before we get out of here at the application for that pilot program that Tiffany Henyard would not qualify for. But I want to see just some of the language. I haven't even read this. I just pulled it up. To March 16th, non-prosecution agreements, purpose of the program. Okay, all right. So a non-prosecution agreement is essentially a deferred prosecution, non-prosecution agreement. If you come in and you do this, you pay restitution, do community service, like we'll figure out a way to resolve this favorably. Deferred prosecutions normally result in charges being dismissed. I wouldn't dismiss any charges of public corruption. I don't give a damn who it was and who told on who. But non-prosecution agreement factors. So these are the factors that they look at to see if an individual who would qualify for this program, not Tiffany Henyard, would be able to participate in this program. The office maintains the discretion to determine on a case-by-case basis whether an individual reporting wrongdoing on the merits, a non-prosecution agreement, among other factors that office will consider are the individual's truthfulness, the individual's ability and willingness to assist law enforcement, the extent of the individual's participation in the wrongdoing, and the timeliness of the reporting, the individual position within the organization, and the individual's criminal history. As part of the program, the reporting individual must agree to forfeit or disgorge any proceeds of their own. Doesn't apply to Foreign Corruption Practices Act, blah, blah, blah. Hold on, real quick. Let me see something. Procedures for reporting. This office will begin accepting email submissions. All right, so this is actually interesting because it's 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 interesting. Hmm. Because now the question I want to know is, do we think that, as an example, y'all let me know y'all thought. Do y'all think that Keith Freeman would fall under the provisions to be able to tell wrongdoing on Tiffany Henyard that he's aware of and get the protections of this program? Um, Interesting. Um, the language of the program says something to the effect of, I'm just paraphrasing here. If there's an ongoing investigation that's already known to investigators, you can't participate in this program. But there's some wiggle room there. And in that application, it didn't go into much detail. But the that's interesting. That's actually a good question. Do you think Keith Freeman or some other person who's familiar with the alleged misconduct and misappropriation of Tiffany Henyard, do you think they actually utilize this program? Because generally it said if an individual already has an investigation going, they can't take advantage of this program. But let's say I was Keith Freeman's attorney. If I'm Keith Freeman's attorney, I would argue that no, you all had an investigation into me related to bankruptcy fraud. I'm not here to self disclose information related to my bankruptcy fraud. I'm here to self disclose information related to fraud and misappropriation done by the mayor of the village of Dalton. Those are two different things, I think. And with the limited definition they had in that language, I think that anybody who had close proximity with Tiffany Henyard could take advantage of this to get an out, or could have taken advantage of this to get an out. Maybe not so much now because everything is underway, but I think early on it could have been plausible that a Keith Freeman or someone else who was familiar with the fraud or alleged wrongdoing, misconduct could have taken advantage of this. So that's a interesting thing. Let me see. Let's go ahead. Let me check out some of these comments real quick. What's going on, Mom for Life? I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, Lacey and Freeman may well have turned over so much. It is alleged that somebody has removed access to financial documents from staff. If a grand jury is convened, they can get all of that. I don't care. Like you can remove it from the staff, but if a when I go through the financial records, I'm not going to like HR of the government entity or the fiscal office of the government entity. I'm going to the banks where that shit is deposited at. Like I'm going to the source of funds to find out where it's coming from to where it's going. So they can easily find that. Yeah. Jason House closing at 88 engaged the FBI green light. Dalton is on the map for being the bravest, inspirational, and strongest community in history. Hey, shout out to them. They did what they needed to do. Some people ain't willing to sacrifice for change, though. Like, hey, if you want change, you got to raise hell sometimes. It is what it is. Let's see. Isn't the, hmm, I would probably say no. And the reason I'm going to say no is the Thornton Township election that she's going to lose probably worse than 12% of votes she got. The Thornton Township supervisor election is April 1st. April Fool's Day, she going to take a L. I just don't think so because they issued a subpoena. And if I'm not mistaken, from what I saw in the news, If I'm issuing a subpoena on February 25th, is the end of February, I need time to get the information back from you. Then I need time to actually review the information. Then I need time to do an analysis of the information I just got back and compare it and contrast it to what I already have to identify if they're if I'm looking at a credible allegation of fraud and if the information I just got back from the subpoena is enough for me to identify fraud that occurred on specific dates. So I would actually be shocked if it happened by the end of March. Because let's say you send the grand jury subpoena out, they'll probably get it. mm, They would probably get it February 28th. They would probably get it March 14th, March 17th, somewhere around that time. Then you got from March to evaluate the information, depending on how much information they requested and the volume of responsive records that they're going to get, they're going to have to. And if it's money stuff related to property, you're probably going to have an auditor look at it and an investigator look at it. So I don't think, I think March is going to be a no go. And I think they're going to hold consistent with their, we don't like the general, well, yeah, I just don't think that's going to happen. I think that's too soon. I would probably, if I had to guess, April would be her loss as a township supervisor. I would probably say sometime in the summer, maybe July or August. That'll give them enough time to get all their ducks in a row and figure out whatever they're looking into on this land deal. Interesting. Yeah, IRS is always going to be involved when there's money involved because I know a lot of that shit. Illegal money is never claimed for tax purposes. Is this the last stand for the woman movement? I don't know. I mean, the woman movement will bounce back. She was just a bad representative for the woman movement. Would you all do that? Like, all right, let's say you committed a crime, right? Y'all law-abiding citizens. Shout out to the law-abiding citizens out here. But let's say you committed a crime in Chicago, right? You are aware of this fraud, but nobody else knows it's going on. Now you can't tell on yourself anonymously, so you can't be like Jack Jenkins, Jack Jackingson. Like, no, you have to put your name. I, John Clayton, hereby am telling on myself for what I did. Would you, if you committed a crime and to your knowledge the feds aren't aware of it, would you tell on yourself? But here's the kick. You're telling on yourself, but there's no guarantee that you'll get the sweetheart deal where they won't prosecute you or go light on you. You could tell on yourself and they could say, you know what? We appreciate you, but we about to max your ass out and you going away forever. Would you tell on yourself if there's no guarantee that you're going to get a sweetheart deal? And it's on a case by case basis. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I would do it. I don't think I would tell on myself if I can't get a guarantee that I'm gonna get a sweetheart deal. Like, nah, I would much rather go to my attorney, have my attorney go to the U.S. Attorney's office and see what they can figure out before I submitted my name. You fill out everything you apply on this form and fill it out. Then you're gonna send all that shit over the email, what you just did. Hell no. I honestly like. I would probably I I would probably advise people to take this, but it would depend on the nature of the crime and how much exposure they have. Generally, like, hey, if you could get something that's guaranteed, sweetheart deal, you take it, but there's no guarantee here. So, I don't know.